Jackie Gleason showed which guests from the Golden Age were really bad. He was born Herbert Walton Gleason Jr. in Brooklyn, New York, on February 26, 1916. In the beginning, Gleason was poor and had to work hard. Jack's father left the family when he was a boy, and his mother died when he was still in his teens. Gleason had to grow up quickly because of these problems as a child, but they also gave him the strength and sense of humor that would become his trademarks. Early on, when he was young, he started entertaining friends, neighbors, and anyone else who would listen. He used comedy as both a defense mechanism and a way to connect with people. Gleason was working as a master of ceremonies in theaters and clubs by the late 1930s. He was slowly improving his timing and creating a style that would make him stand out in the entertainment business. As a young man, he got his big break when he started working in TV, just as the country was falling in love with it as an important part of family life. Jackie quickly stood out because of his boundless energy, expressive face, and uncanny knack for turning into memorable characters. The Honeymooners, the famous sitcom that started in 1955, may have been Gleason's most lasting contribution to TV. Gleason played Ralph Creighton, a brash but likable bus driver for Brooklyn whose dreams were always bigger than his pay. With Audrey Meadows as Alice, Art Carney as Ed Norton, and Joyce Randolph as Trixie, Gleason made a classic movie about working-class life that was full of laughter, anger, and deep love. The show had a huge impact. Even though it only ran for 39 episodes, it set the standard for sitcoms for generations to come. Some lines from Alice, Bang, Zoom, Straight to the Moon became famous in American culture, and Ralph Creighton is still one of the most recognizable characters on TV. Still, Gleason was a lot more than just a TV star. He was also a man who could do a lot of different things. He was the host of the Jackie Gleason Show for many years. It was a variety show with musical performances, comedy sketches, and his own larger-than-life personality that millions of people watched every week. In addition to being successful on TV, Gleason also did well in movies. He was in many movies, but The Hustler, 1961, in which he played the smooth and scary pool shark Minnesota Fats with Paul Newman, may have been his most famous role. The performance earned him praise from critics and showed audiences that he was also a very skilled dramatic actor. And to add one more thing to his career, Jackie Gleason also followed his passion for music. During the 1950s and 1960s, he made a number of popular, easy-listening orchestral albums with lush arrangements and romantic moods. People really liked his records like Music for Lovers Only, which showed that he could make people feel things besides just making them laugh. In fact, his album sold millions of copies, proving that he really is a multi-talented entertainer. Even though he was famous and successful, Gleason stayed a real person. People all over America connected with his performances because he seemed like a normal person. His larger-than-life personality, which was often punctuated by his famous catchphrase, "How sweet it is," showed that he loved making people laugh and never feared being in the spotlight. However, people who knew him well said he was both boisterous and deeply reflective, and that he carried his early life struggles with him but used them to fuel his creativity. Jackie Gleason had a huge effect on entertainment that will never go away. A lot of comedians, actors, and TV show creators look up to him, and his work is still being honored in reruns, tributes, and retrospectives. Because he could capture the essence of humor, humanity, and heart, his work would live on long after he died. It was said that Jackie Gleason's personal life, especially his marriages, was just as exciting and interesting as his famous career in TV and show business. He married Genevieve Halford in 1936, and they were together for a long time, to start his rise in show business. At that time, Gleason was still a comedian and actor who was having a hard time getting parts in New York City theaters and nightclubs. Genevieve, who was a devout Catholic, didn't want to marry him at first because he was in show business and was known for drinking a lot and sleeping with other women, but she finally gave in. Their marriage lasted an amazing 34 years, even though there were times when they were angry with each other and had to be apart. They had 2 daughters, Geraldine and Linda. Compared to their famous father, both of them were very private. Genevieve wanted Jackie to leave the entertainment business and live a more stable, family-centered life. She and Jackie often fought over his career choices, staying out late with friends and not being responsible at home. Even though they were apart many times, they didn't get a divorce until 1970, a long time after Gleason had become one of the most famous faces on American TV. This first marriage showed how loyal Genevieve was and how complicated Gleason's personality was. He was both charming and charismatic, and he was known for being very hard to live with. Gleason got married for the second time to Beverly McKittrick in 1970, almost as soon as his divorce from Genevieve was finalized. He had met Beverly years before. She was his secretary, and she was a lot younger than Gleason. People who wrote about Gleason often said that his relationship with her was more of a transitional stage in his life than a deep romantic connection. The comedian's friends and acquaintances said that Jackie seemed antsy during this time. It looked like his health was getting worse. His smoking and drinking were getting the best of him, and he was looking for a new way to be stable. Unfortunately, his marriage to Beverly did not give him that sense of balance. They got a divorce in 1975, after only 5 years of being together. Many people don't know much about Beverly compared to his first and third wives, but her short time with Gleason showed how hard it is for the comedian to balance his personal relationships with the demands and lifestyle of a famous comedian. Late that same year, in 1975, Jackie Gleason married Marilyn Taylor for the third and last time. Marilyn Taylor was June Taylor's sister. June Taylor's famous dancers often appeared on Gleason's TV shows. Marilyn knew a lot more about the stresses of show business than his previous wives did because her sister worked with Jackie for a long time and was connected to the entertainment world. For Glennon, his marriage was the most stable and happy time of his life. Marilyn made him feel at ease and gave him company, which helped him get through his later years, especially since his health was getting worse. Friends and coworkers often said that she was the one who really tamed the Great One and brought him peace in his last days. They were married until Gleason's death in 1987. Marilyn was not only his last wife, but also the person who was there for him when he was weakest. Jack Gleason, the famous comedian and star of The Honeymooners, was never afraid to say what he thought, whether it was in public, in interviews, or even in private conversations that became part of his legendary life. During Hollywood's golden age, especially in the 1950s and 1960s, when he was at the height of his career, Gleason hung out with many stars thanks to his deep voice, sharp wit, and larger-than-life personality. He saw it all: the glitz, the shine, and the smiles that wowed millions of fans on screen, as well as the evil and cruelty that went on behind closed doors. Late in his career, Gleason shocked both audiences and coworkers when he told them straight out that some of the popular Golden Age guests who appeared on variety shows, including his own, were actually bad. Gleason said that not all actors and performers who seemed charming on TV or in public had the kind of hearts that people thought they did. Many people were shocked when he named specific people instead of making broad statements that it was none other than Orson Welles that he brought up. People thought Welles was brilliant for Citizen Kane and praised his powerful stage presence. But Gleason told him straight out, Orson was brilliant, but don't let that fool you. Behind the scenes, he could be cruel, selfish, and easy to manipulate. He wasn't only hard to deal with. He liked it when other people were unhappy. I've always said that some people make the room brighter when they walk in. When Orson left, he lit it up. People usually think of Welles as an artist who was misunderstood. Gleason's harsh words, on the other hand, showed him as someone who used his intelligence and charm in darker, more self-serving ways. But Gleason didn't just name Orson Welles when he remembered the shocking event. Another guest that Glenn called out was Frank Sinatra, who was known as Old Blue Eyes and was loved by millions of people as one of the best singers of all time. Sinatra had been on stage with Gleason more than once. And while their conversation on camera seemed friendly and natural, Gleason said it was nothing like that in real life. Gleason said Frank had a mean streak that went on for miles. Without a doubt, the man could sing better than anyone else. And when he was in the right mood, he was very charming. But if you annoyed him, he would scold you right away. I saw him make waiters look bad and scream at stagehands. He liked it when people were scared of him more than when they loved him. Fans of Sinatra, who only knew him as the cool guy, thought Gleason's comments were crazy. However, they also confirmed rumors that Sinatra had ties to organized crime and was known for having a very bad temper. What was even stranger was what Gleason said about Joan Crawford, an actress from the Golden Age. Crawford was one of Hollywood's biggest stars. She was known for her stunning good looks, famous movie roles, and well-groomed public image. But Gleason laughed off the glamorous image, saying that Crawford's behavior outside of work was shocking. Joan was one of the strangest people I've ever met. She could smile for the cameras, but it was like a switch, he said. It turned into ice as soon as the cameras stopped rolling. People were just props for her and didn't matter to her. I do not know what else is bad besides that. After many years, Crawford's adopted daughter Christina wrote the famous memoir Mommy, Dearest, which supported Gleason's view and showed that his words may have been more than just mean. For Gleason, these revelations weren't just sad stories. They were warnings about how easy it is for people to be fooled by the shiny image of fame. Fans at home thought their favorite stars were gods and goddesses, but Gleason knew that many of them had secret lives. He said, "These people were worshipped like saints, but I can tell you they weren't saints. People who were happy in front of the camera would often be mean to someone after the camera was off. So that's what I mean by truly evil. Bad things don't always have horns. It puts on a fancy dress and waves to the crowd other times when it's in a tuxedo and singing a love song." These rare and censored comments showed a darker side of Hollywood's golden age that not many people were willing to talk about in public. With his trademark candor and refusal to sugarcoat, Jackie Gleason gave the audience a rare look behind the curtain, reminding everyone that not everything that shines is gold in the entertainment business. The movie Nothing in Common, which starred Jackie Gleason and rising star Tom Hanks, was Gleason's swan song on the big screen. It was an unforgettable performance. As the sick, angry, and emotionally troubled father in the movie, Gleason played the part. A weak, cocky, and almost archaic figure who is forced to make peace with his estranged son in a way that is both awkward and touching. Critics saw right away that Gleason had put his whole heart into the role, giving it many layers of depth that included both biting humor and quiet vulnerability. People who were there at the time didn't know that this amazing performance was made possible by terrible personal problems. Behind the camera, Gleason was privately going through a lot of serious health problems. The disease had already spread to his liver by the time filming began. He had been diagnosed with colon cancer. Besides that, he had to deal with painful complications from phlebitis, a condition that makes the veins swell, and the constant problems that come with diabetes. Showman Gleason chose to hide these health problems from the public, as is his style. People on set may have thought he looked tired, but his strong will and professionalism hid the fact that he was really sick. There were rumors going around that the famous performer was very sick. He wouldn't confirm or talk about it, though, because he wanted his work to speak louder than his pain. Nothing in Common has become more moving over time as fans have learned that Gleason was playing a role that was a lot like his own life. An old man who is struggling with being weak, his own death, and his complicated family ties. The rumors came true less than a year after the movie came out. Jackie Gleason died in his Florida home on June 24, 1987. He was 71 years old. His death marked the end of an era. He had a career that included acting, singing, and movies. He left behind a body of work that made people laugh and perform timeless roles. Is